I would not say that Babby is an inside joke. I would say it's a joke that many people are in on. I would say that a lot of people know about Babby. Like, if you don't know about Babby, maybe you have a problem, is what I'm saying. Yeah, half the people in chat were not born in 2006. You're forgetting we're on Twitch chat. I mean, come on. I mean, come on. How is Babby formed? Whoops, I wanted this. Oh. Even more work has been happening on the fog. That's cool. I dig it. It's getting there. It still needs some more work, but it's getting there. It's got some seam problems right there where the map wraps, but that's fixable, I'm sure. If I tried map view being centered around the player, no, that would fuck up this game mode. This game mode is about the rooms. It is about the rooms. Okay, so now what I want to work on today is the way that our rotation snaps. Like that. And it's weird because there's like some counter rotation. I'm not sure what is causing it actually. Like, see how he like rotates the wrong way when getting pushed? Like, what's that about? Okay, let's look at the... So yeah, we go into this pushed state. Dang it. I forget what all my debug keys are. How do I show the animations? Why am I not seeing? Oh, there we go. So really, okay, when he gets pushed, he's staying in his animation state. Okay, that's different from what I thought was happening. So we should play a different animation on him. And it'll just be the blocked animation for starters. Could I give a 2-line update on the state of my game engine? Hey baby, have you heard about game engines? You look so beautiful, you're even more dazzling than the temporally aliased subpixels that we are rendering now. Okay. What is going on? We need to send a go state blocked. Being pushed. Run being pushed hook. Okay. Is the game engine going to be public eventually? Yes. Not for a while. Eventually, yes. Big turnout today. There's 176 people. That's not that many for this stream. What are you talking about? I'm sure it's still on the way up maybe, but Monday night has never really been our strong night. You know what I'm saying? Like Saturday morning to afternoon is generally this stream's best time for viewers. Okay. I mean, that doesn't look awesome, but it looks better. There's still a little bit of a snap, but I mean, honestly, this is fine for now. Like, there's a little bit of weird rotation behavior, but there is globally right now. Okay. Well, that's good enough for me on that one. I thought that was going to take hours, and it didn't. So that means I could go over to the little tracking sheet, and I can go done and mark it green, which I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do tonight. So let's look at some of these other cases that happen when timing is weird. Maybe the stream ends early. I don't know. Well, we don't need this for portraits anymore. So there was definitely a thing that we had, though. Okay. Boom. We're going to do ocean. Going in. We're going to have these ting-tanglers. We're going to have a lily bopper going here, and we're going to put this on it. I mean, that's honestly not that bad for now. Like, that actually can wait. Like, it's not totally absurd like I think it was at one point. It's like not like good. But this is good enough for now for the level of polish that the game is at. That's a weird one. So like when the rock is dropping the lily off, it just doesn't it doesn't have a transaction during that time, so it's doing the super slow interpolation. And that's why, so we did this code the other day where when you're pushing something, it comes into alignment. But the way we do that is by reading off the transaction, like what we're taking over. So if there is no transaction, we don't do that. So I guess that's due to me taking out visual support. Which is too bad. It's too bad I deleted that code. But I could go back on one of the other laptops and look at it. And because I wanted to make a new, the visual support was a little bit confusing. But I wanted to make something that was the equivalent of that. So maybe I should go take a look at that. like the equivalent of that, but more general. So for those of you who were watching the stream the other day where we did the pushing quality improvements, one thing I did was, when you push something that was moving, we say, oh, this thing hadn't finished moving and it was scheduled to move here, but let's record those informations for the push. And the thing about that is, it puts what would I say about that? I forgot what I was going to say about it because I started thinking about a different way to organize the data that could be better. So previously, when you were doing like a support transaction, we would tick it over to something like visual support, which looks like a transaction, but doesn't what should I say about it? It's not really a transaction because it can't change gameplay state. And B, it's like annoying to search for because it's just in with all these other transactions when in fact maybe it doesn't belong to any transaction anymore. Maybe it does. Anyway, what I was thinking silently there for 10 seconds was maybe in addition, so maybe we just have this array of transactions that we've had for a long time, and then we have an array of like, these are the things that are in visual transaction completion, which may or may not be happening simultaneously to any other transaction. So like if you're pushing something and it's still doing completion laterally to that push, right? Something like that. And that way you don't have, like having them in this separate array means there's one entry per entity. You don't have to do a bunch of like searching to see where it is. I'm not sure if that's totally what I want, but maybe. Oh, Casey's here. Livecoding.tv. I think I tried livecoding.tv for like one stream back when I was figuring out where to stream. Something like that. Like literally for 1 hour. And then it turned out it was lame. It like wasn't better than Twitch. I don't know, man. Anyway, so this is the thing, is like, how should I handle this situation? Is there a benefit to keeping these in the transactions? I kind of think no. but I haven't done it that way. So it might, sometimes you get an idea for a different way to do things, and then you just go do it, and it like has, it's just like the way you were doing it, but different, right? So I'm wondering if it would end up being that way. The thing about having just like a visual corrections array is you could do something like, hey, if the thing is getting pushed, you know the goal of the push is to, for example, put it in a certain place along the y-axis where it's going to end up. So you like don't want any correction to engage on that axis. You only want orthogonal correction. Maybe. I mean, you know where it's going to end up on the x-axis too, but the point is whatever the previous transaction was doing that at a certain speed, because that's like what, you know, different movements have different speeds and stuff. And so if you just have the push in charge of that, not knowing anything about what was happening to the thing, it'll do it at a different speed and you'll have weird looking stuff, right? Whereas you know, if you just have the whatever remains of the visual completion of that transaction happen, you can just copy the speed and whatever over, and then the push can just like let that happen. Or in a case like this, where this thing is coming in, it would just, right? Did it actually have anything to support live coding better than Twitch? That was my expectation, was that it would, but I don't remember really anything. Like, it's not like people could copy and paste the source code or anything, right? I mean, maybe you don't want that, but like it literally was nothing specific to programming. It was just like a copycat website that someone put up that didn't do anything good. Like, I know, Casey, because you've been thinking about, you know, how to teach programming a lot lately. I'm sure you have a lot of ideas about what a live streaming for programmers could do that would be better, right? I mean, here's several, right? 3 separate video streams or whatever, right? You know, one just for the code, right? You know, like how hard is that? Even Twitch doesn't fucking do this. Like, just put the video of the person in its own stream and just let the viewer put it wherever they want. Right? Like, holy shit. It's 2021. I mean, on Twitch, if I could press the button to turn off the fucking donos and text to speech and all that stuff, I would do that in a second. Like, if you charged me an extra $5 a month for Twitch for the ability to do that, I would buy that. The problem is you'd also have to get streamers to stop spending 7 hours saying, thanks for the 2-month resub. But if you give them alternate ways to do that, then that could be filtered out as well. All right, while we chat about this, I'm going to grab my old laptop and look at how I did visual support. All the extra overlays like what Mixer did, it was terrible. No one needs a beach ball on a stream. But you have beach balls on every stream. That's what I'm saying. Every Twitch streamer does all that shit. It's just they do it on the server side instead of the client side where it should be done. All right, let me grab the thing. I am very warm in here, and the thermostat claims it's 62 degrees. Awesome. Can I talk about my routine getting in the zone? That question is an excuse. That's a fucking excuse for you not to get work done. Because then you're just like, oh, I'm just not in the zone. Oh, I don't have my routine nailed down. So of course I'm not getting things done. No, the way you get things done is by wanting to get things done. Okay? If you don't want to get things done, stop pretending. Stop pretending to be a contender, right? If you do want to get things done, you sit down and you do them. That's it. That's all there is to it. All the rest of it is just this fucking around that people use. Like, don't pattern anything that you do after internet rhetoric about how to do things, because everybody on the internet, or, you know, it's Sturgeon's law, like, to power, right? Like, everyone on the internet is just like fucking around, not doing things very well when they do them, and hardly doing anything, right? So, like, don't even fall into that way of talking about things. It's an unproductive person's way of talking about things. I didn't move. Please tell people to stop asking me about it. People ask me like 5 times a day. Seriously, like, just get shit done. It's not that hard. I'm not nearly as productive as I could be, but I'm productive enough to get some things done. And that differentiates me from a lot of people, apparently. I estimate that I could do at least 3 times as much as what I do. Like, if I was really serious enough. Like, I'm pretty sure 3x is reasonable. This laptop has not been updated since beta 67. Okay, let me go. So I am looking for visual support. How do we decide to switch things to visual support? Convert support moves to visual. I remember deleting that function. Right. So we do this. Huh. Actually, the time when we do that is a different. I don't know if we ever handled this case correctly, actually. Is Chaz still there? Seriously? This is kind of crazy. I was talking to Casey and someone else about this the other day, but there's this way in which these liberal, quote unquote, West Coast cities, like, they can't ever be nice because anytime there's nice territory, somebody takes advantage of it and then it gets ceded to that person because nobody will ever push back against anything. So you just can't have nice parts of town anymore in Seattle or San Francisco or Portland, right? Because there's no acceptable way to prevent people from ruining nice parts of town if they want to. That's just not a thing. It's not an option on anyone's like slate of governance options. So it's just like, oh well, right? And I don't even mean Chaz kind of stuff specifically. That's just one example. But there's like literally, it's not considered acceptable to say this area used to be nice and now it is not nice or whatever. Like that's not, or it's not an actionable thing to say because nobody can ever do anything about that. Right? All right. So I'm not sure what I want to do here. I could just try whipping up a version of this level real fast. I don't have a mouse out for this machine, so I'm going to use the horrible trackpad. At least it has buttons. You hope Texas doesn't turn into the new California. Austin has already been turning into the new California for the past probably 20 years. I lived in Austin in 2002 to 2004, and it's a lot worse now. In a lot of the same ways, like you go downtown, it feels unsafe. There's homeless dudes everywhere, right? Who you can smell from a block away. Like, at least that's how it was a year ago. They actually voted at the end of last year to disallow street camping, but that might prevent it from getting like worse, but yeah, I don't know. It was again like I was thinking about where to move, right? And I was like, maybe I could move back to Austin, especially because like a bunch of smart people are moving here and stuff. But like I was hanging out downtown, which like I knew Austin well enough. I mean, maybe it's changed a lot, but like there's sort of three areas to hang out, right? There's like downtown, there's, South Congress, and then there's like suburban malls, right? Are the three options. Um, I mean that are city like, right? Or you're just on, you know, some friend's property somewhere. Um, and like none of the like the downtown part was like sucked. I was like I will never want to be here, you know. So underpass camps a week ago. Yeah. Yeah, Australia definitely took itself out of the running as a place to move. Oh my goodness, did it? Did I like Chattanooga? I liked it kind of. There's a couple problems with Chattanooga. One, the relatively new downtown stuff that is built there. Like there's this like I want to say like 4 by 5 blocks down by the river that's all new construction. It sucks. It's like very horrible new architecture that's unfriendly to walk around, and it just feels bad. It kind of ruins the city. Um, on the north side, it's kind of not a big enough neighborhood to hang out in, so they kind of like pooped all over the big neighborhood to hang out in. Um, but it's still kind of okay. Um, but then if you go like 5 minutes outside Chattanooga, like for example, toward the airport to the east, it gets dismal really fast with like ruined, abandoned buildings everywhere and stuff. And that's not from COVID because those buildings had been abandoned like for years when I was there. Um, did I see the thing where Australia killed a bunch of dogs? Yes. That is so absurd. It's like exactly. Let's think of all the things that people might do to spread COVID, and let's ban them all and or kill things, right? It's like absurd, right? Yeah, no, San Francisco spends over $100,000 per homeless person per year. And that's just on direct homeless services. It doesn't count the medical services and the emergency services and the police responses and all that stuff. That's just literally over $100,000 per homeless person paid to the homeless industrial complex. Is always in Vermont. I mean, I've been to Burlington, Vermont, and one of the times I was there, it was the coldest I've ever been. Well, it was a tie. It was a tie with Montreal for the coldest I've ever been. Homeless industrial complex. It's a real thing. I mean, when there's that much money involved, that's what happens. There are lots and lots of organizations here that get paid every year to supposedly help solve the homeless problem, and nothing ever gets solved. It just gets worse every year. So, hey, guess what? If they solved the problem, their budget would go down, right? A lot of homeless people simply prefer to stay unemployed drug addicts. Well, we give them free drugs, and we also don't enforce anything about drugs. So everybody knows if they want to live a drug party, slow decline into death kind of life, they just go to the Tenderloin in San Francisco. And it's just a magnet that creates more people in sad, self-destructive situations, right? If we didn't have that, I don't think the problem would be growing as quickly as it is. Yeah, social service industrial complex, is quite likely that that's the case. All right. Portland used to be kind of nice. Like, even, I want to say even 5 or 6 years ago, Portland was kind of nice. It's gone downhill very quickly. Very quickly. All right, so I'm duplicating this scenario. And I just want to see what happens. Hmm. So here, when the lily passes under the thing, we just keep a support transaction. So I guess the question is, why are we stopping that transaction? Game capture is frozen. No, it's not. You're just not paying attention to what's going on. You doubt any homeless person would decline a small apartment to live in. A lot of them do. And the reason is that there are conditions attached because, like, the state becomes liable for shit that happens if you live in state housing, right? So, like, firstly, they don't accept everyone into those situations, as they shouldn't, right? Like if somebody's like violent or unpredictable. But then what do you do with them? You just put them back on the street where they could be violent on the street. So that doesn't make that much sense. And then, well, there's rules like, hey, no doing drugs. And again, for safety reasons and for legal reasons, there's just lots of restrictions on what you can and can't do if you're in state-run housing. And a lot of homeless people are like, no. But again, that's the thing is there's like you can't treat it as one population, right? There are people who are homeless for different reasons. Some of those people are people who are down on their luck. They got poor. They can't afford a place. They're not necessarily employable right now, but want to fix it, right? That's one population. And there's another population who doesn't want to fix it and doesn't care and is like basically completely out to lunch, right? And you kind of have to treat those two populations differently, in my opinion, but nobody will write official policy in that way because, again, they're afraid of looking bad, right? Yeah, like people who just aren't employed right now and maybe don't have up-to-date skills and or maybe just need some help because they were disoriented for a while and had a bad time. Those people are helpable, right? People who don't want help, it's hard to help them. Right. And just like Casey's saying too, like the problem is like the safety problem and just the like mental, like the mental safety problem, right? About whether you feel threatened or whether you feel terrible that you live in a sucky place or whatever when you walk around. That's not being caused by the people who are normal people who just happen to not have a job and a home right now, right? That's not like the vast majority of the problem is this other thing. Um, so like again, if you're going to solve it, you have to make that very clean distinction, right? It's like here's one group of people. Hey, guess what? They want help. They're helpable, and they're not actually causing the problem that everybody's worried about. And there's this other group of people, right? You just have to make that distinction. It's like all of these, right? Like the normal homeless people don't end up in an ambulance every 2 days, right? Draining the emergency services. That's just a thing. They don't get arrested every couple weeks for assaulting people on the street. It's just a very different scenario. Would universal basic income help? No. No, it wouldn't. Okay, the housing market is busted fundamentally anyway, right? Due to probably regulations and whatever. So if you just put more money in, if you give everybody a certain amount of money, it's just housing prices will go up by that amount. That's all that's going to happen. Is it's a subsidy for real estate developers and or zoning compliance people. First of all. Secondly, again, we're talking about there's two categories of people. The category of people who just need to get back on their feet and they'll be okay. Like we started this conversation with, San Francisco's spending $1 billion a year on those people just in San Francisco, right? Like, it's not like there's a lack of money. The problem comes from people who money isn't helping, right? I mean, now that said, again, I'm a believer that money is being spent very inefficiently, right? But even so, they gave out grants for first-time home buyers and all the prices skyrocketed. Of course. That, like, everybody knows that that's the predicted outcome of that kind of decision, right? Like, that's what happens 100% of the time. Is Australia being run by legit clowns at this point? I mean, it kind of looks that way to an outsider like me who doesn't know that much about Australia. I've been there once for like a week. I liked Australia back then. But, you know. Like, I would have considered moving to Australia till I found out how nuts it is over there in the past year. Now it's like, oh my God. All the skin cancer, not a problem if you don't ever go outside. Okay, so what I want to know is, why does that support move disappear? Let's see if we can find where it happens. And maybe it's for a good reason, maybe it's not, right? I feel like it's because the supported by ID goes to 0 and or it's not equal to the old thing. Money isn't wealth. I mean, exactly, right? Like, look, you have to increase wealth. You don't increase wealth by giving out money, right? I mean, you can a little bit. Like, redistributing money can help a little bit. But like the way to create wealth is you create opportunity for people to do productive things. And you let them do the things that they find to be productive, right? And you create a predictable and fair and non-corrupt regime in which they can operate. That's just how you do it. We know this. Like, why we don't focus on this is fucking beyond me. Yeah, I should go back to Australia at some point in a couple years and go to some of the places I didn't go. Which is most of it, honestly. Okay. So let's look at the file. Remove completed linear moves or uncompleted falls. It could be happening here. That's maybe one of my candidates. There's this one. Let's put breakpoints at both of those. Come on. Okay, so we had line 1662. Oh, come on, bro. I need to fucking fix that. And I almost want to quit debugging this and inspect this breakpoint problem, because we need to fucking fix that. But first let's find out how babby is formed here. Let me write that down though. It's important. Function is remove support debugging line 1662. That way I won't forget, because the thing that happens is I keep seeing these little debugging problems and then I'm like, oh, I'm in the middle of something, because I see them while I'm debugging, right? And I at least want to write down enough info to come back to it later. Okay. Okay, that's line 1645. See if either of those happens. No. Wait, no, it's still there. Huh. Okay, we'll keep looking. I don't really fucking trust this breakpoint though. Like what is that? We'll double up on these. Come on. I mean, I don't understand. Okay, well, data breakpoint time, guys. You know I love the data breakpoints. I love the data breakpoints. T single moves dot count. It is to break new data breakpoint OXBO5F02F8. Hell yeah. Wait. BO5F02F8. I think that's right. Okay. Hell yeah. Boom. Data breakpoints. Okay, back to the person at the beginning of the stream who asked, how do you get motivated to get things done? Use data breakpoints. They're so awesome. You'll just get motivated. Oh, wait. We're deleting the entire transaction? Oh. I see. We're actually making a different transaction there. I didn't spot that correctly. So it's not that we're taking this out of the transaction. That's what kind of code I was looking for. We are not doing that. So this is transaction 8. And then the one with just the lily in it is going to be like 9 or something. $11, yeah. Now, the interesting thing you'll note is that, so while the transaction is alive, it actually stops, as soon as the support switches to the great, which is right about in the middle there, it starts going too slowly because it's not using the transaction anymore. it is using other shit. I guess I should say, if it's in a support transaction, we don't use the other shit. But then the other shit will almost never happen. It's the intent for the rock to start at the same speed as the lily when it detaches, then decelerate. Well, no, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening at all. Because that was weird behavior, and I was like, what? I'm just understanding what's happening. So now I understand what's happening. And the question is, well, what do we want to do for something like that, right? And maybe that's the kind of thing that I just need to stop and think about a little bit. Because one thing I could do is just say, hey, look for the support transaction, and even though your support ID has switched to this other thing, finish out that transaction. But that would make this look better in that it would travel linearly onto the grate and then stop. But we're starting to think about what to do to ship the game, right? And it's not clear to me, like, maybe what we want to do is detect when that happens and say, oh, well, now we kick the rock into some cool animating behavior of landing on the thing. And maybe that's like a transaction. I mean, it wouldn't change any gameplay state, but it would live in the transaction system, maybe. And so if that's what I want to do, then my solution for that would look different, right? It would... Wow, I might have to go to bed early tonight, guys. Like, it wouldn't look like pay attention to the support transaction and let it complete. It would be like, oh, replace the support transaction as soon as it loses support, right? Which I think we can detect that very easily each frame when we evaluate the support transaction. It's very easy to check that the ID in the transaction is or is not the same as the current support ID. Or we could also check when we set the support ID on something, we could say, is it in a transaction? If so, switch what's going on. So really the question is just, do I want to do that? And I kind of suspect the answer is yes, but I'm not totally sure. I want to think about it a little bit. Because, like, what does something like pushing do if it sees that? Does it let it play out? Probably. But maybe it kills the orthogonal motion to the push again or something like that, or kills the parallel motion. Lana says hi. Yeah, I haven't talked to her in a while. She's still streaming. She's still doing her stream. Yeah, so I think I just want to leave this here. I'm going to go to the spreadsheet and call this checked off for now because it's good enough. We can ship with this. If we find more instances of things that are weird, then we'll look at them. But that leaves me with just one more thing to do on this whole milestone, which is great because it means I can work on other things that push things forward in other places. I delivered value to the people today. We shipped a compiler beta. That was good. It's been a good day, even though I kind of took half the day off or more to read a book and listen to podcasts. I still can't successfully subscribe to Costco, though. That's an unsolved problem. Jelly No Puzzle makes you mad. Level 39 is evil. I actually thought Jelly No Puzzle got a little easier as it went along. Maybe because I was more used to the game and understood how it worked better. Like, Jelly No Puzzle seemed brutally hard in the beginning and then not so bad in the back half. What am I reading? I just finished reading St. Leibowitz and the Wild Horsewoman, which I had never read. I can't say it's very good. I don't recommend it. Read the original book instead. In fact, I'll go get the original book and read it again this week. Hang on a second. I'm trying to find it. You're reading Canticle for Leibowitz right now. Yeah, I want to reread it because I remember it as being good. And I recommended it to someone on stream. And since I just read the sequel, which is not that good, I want to go back and reread it while the sequel is kind of fresh and like build up the universe of those books a little more, right? And also, any book that you think is pretty good, like, could stand to be reread once in a while, you know? Like that sort of, there's sort of two categories of books, right? Books you would read more than once and books that you would not. So, I'm going to read it again. Books you wish you'd never read. I've read some of those. Is this my favorite sci-fi book? I don't know. No. Favorite is very hard to pin down, though. Like, I definitely had favorite sci-fi books when I was like a teenager and in my early 20s. I'm not sure how they would hold up now. Lately, there's some Ted Chiang stuff that I like. There's some Greg Egan stuff that I like. I don't know. Yeah, I did Forever War by Joe Haldeman. I liked a lot when I was in college. Um, there's even an unofficial Forever War video game that you wouldn't ever know that it was heavily inspired by it unless you play the game shortly after reading the book. Have you read any Murakami? Yes. Yeah, Permutation City is good. Thoughts on The Wasteland? I have not read The Wasteland. I want to. I think I have a copy here. I just haven't read it. Do I like Neil Stephenson books? Yes, although they're a little too long. Childhood's End I thought was terrible. I can't read Arthur C. Clarke. I don't like his stuff. The Wasteland is good. I'll put it on the list. I really do want to read it. It's been on my list for a while. Childhood's End TV show is 1,000 times worse. I can imagine. Have I read Snow Crash? Yes. Is there any hope for the Dune movie being good? Maybe. Dude, when I was a kid, I liked the David Lynch Dune movie because I just didn't have any taste in anything. Dostoevsky. I was doing the audiobook of Anna Karenina and I didn't understand why I should care about this. So I stopped like 2/3 of the way through. That said, the reading of the audiobook was not very good, but still. Oh, that's Tolstoy? Okay. Well, that tells you how much Dostoevsky I've read. Do I like 2001: A Space Odyssey? The movie, I like parts of it. I think it's a little too long and boring. I think a lot of 2001, a lot of the original watchability of 2001 was due to novelty. Like a lot of what it does is just unwatchable now. Have you read the Modern Ocean screenplay? No. Kubrick in general. There's a lot of Kubrick stuff I haven't seen. I would enjoy the Brothers Karamazov. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's just all these classic books to read, and I want to spend more time doing that. The monkeys jump around for so long. Or like the thing where they have the Pan Am lady with the magnetic boots walk around the circle and it takes like an hour of the movie's running time. Just all that. It's just like, it's not that interesting actually. You think Interstellar managed to capture some of the 2000 wonder? Maybe, but Interstellar was kind of dumb. Have I seen Full Metal Jacket? I have not. Middlemarch or Madame Bovary? Have not read either. Was more interesting. Yeah, possibly. You thought that's how they explain? Yes, that's how they explain the artificial gravity for an hour of the movie's running time. You know what was a better 2001 sort of? Was the frickin' Brad Pitt movie that came out in 2019. Except the ending of that was so horrible that it was just beyond terrible. But the rest of it, Ad Astra, yes. The first 1/2 to 2/3 of Ad Astra is a very good modern kind of 2001-ish. It's kind of inspired by 2001 even, where they go to the moon first and then they go to Jupiter. But it actually also, like, speaking about older sci-fi, it reminded me of like a Robert Heinlein story in certain ways. Like Heinlein would write stuff where you have a character who's like vaguely on some mission, but they're also just kind of like touring this world where all this shit is happening that's not necessarily about them. And that's what Ad Astra felt like also. No, the really stupid part in Ad Astra is the end where he flies like Superman through the rings of Saturn with a shield holding a piece of steel in front of himself to like knock away the ice asteroids. Yeah, the monologues in Ad Astra were a little bit stupid too. Honestly, they were a little bit too stupid, but like visually and tonally, I appreciated it. Thoughts on Andrei Rublev? I liked it. I do not in general talk about what things are about because I think that's an insult to deep things. Tenet was awful. What the podcasts were? Today, so I was listening to the All In podcast a little bit, which is good sometimes, but it wasn't that good this week. I was listening to a podcast that I'm going to be interviewed for tomorrow, so I wanted to get a hang of like how it goes. What else? I feel like there was one other one today. Tenet at least was not boring. It was boring because it didn't make any sense. So it was like a bunch of like things that don't make sense, but we're putting them on the screen because they seem trippy. Teenagers from Outer Space? Yeah, there's a Mystery Science episode about that. It was also like a pen and paper RPG that I never played. You think Tenet mostly made sense? No, it didn't. Didn't make sense hardly at all. Like the basic time travel idea doesn't even make sense. Yeah, at least not the way that they depict it in the movie. Like, okay, if you think Tenet makes sense, let me ask you the following question. Remember that scene where they pick up the gold, right? Like, okay, the people in the future put this gold in a capsule and then spoilers, and then reverse time on it, right? So it's buried underground and goes into the past. And then these guys dig it up and it's freaky backward moving gold, right? But somehow because they dug it up, now it's going into the future, except acting backwards instead of going into the past. You know what I'm saying? Like There's somehow like a U-turn in time right when they dig up the capsule, and now the gold is going forward. It doesn't make any sense. What about Primer? Primer was very good. The people who dug it up were the ones who buried it? What? No, that doesn't make any sense. I know there's relative forward and relative backward. Like, that's fine. The gold doesn't make sense at all. Also, yes, the dialogue's inaudible. Like, a lot of things in Tenet don't actually make sense. And a lot of other things that kind of make sense are like, yeah, but they just sort of did that because they wanted a cool scene or something. Would I share what Andrei Rublev meant to me personally? Not really, no. Not in a venue like this. It's disrespectful. Like, even other stuff in Tenet didn't make any sense, right? So, like, they say stuff like, hey, we're not really changing the future or the past. Whatever happened already happened, right? But then they want to have this cool scene where, like, they shoot rocket launchers at a tower from both directions in time. And it's like, okay, where did all the people come from in that tower that you just shot down from both directions if you're not actually changing time by doing these things? It doesn't fucking make any sense. Seen any Malick? I saw Thin Red Line. Kind of liked it. You don't understand when bullet holes appear in forward time when they're being reverse shot. That part makes sense. That part's fine. Tree of Life. Oh, I thought Tree of Life was super boring. I'm sorry. I hated that movie. I don't remember seeing anything at the end that made me like it. Sunshine, I don't think I saw. The Fountain is one of my favorite movies. I mean, I've seen it enough that, like, I kind of don't like it as much anymore, but it's all right. Holy Mountain, I didn't like very much. You know who likes Holy Mountain is Edmund McMillan. He loves that shit. What's Christopher Nolan's best movie? Batman 2. I don't know. I never saw Prestige, so maybe that's better. You think it's mind-bending enough that you can't get a full grasp on it? Definitely, that's what it is. And that's why so many people don't realize it doesn't make sense. So the thing, like, I have years of practice about thinking about reverse time because I spent 3.5 years making a game where I had to make it actually work, right? So I have more practice than most people about thinking about these things. So I see some of this stuff and I'm just like, it obviously doesn't make sense, but if you haven't spent time thinking about that kind of thing, you might not see it, right? Would I say the ending of Holy Mountain is a super bold move? I don't remember the ending. Like, I wanted to like Holy Mountain a lot, but I just wasn't that into it. Do I like Alex Garland's work? What are his movies? I just saw one recently. Annihilation and Ex Machina. Oh, okay. Ex Machina I thought was pretty good. Um, Annihilation I thought was pretty bad. So 50-50. Ex Machina is trash too? I didn't think so. I thought it was all right. Dread was kind of okay, but it's exactly the same movie as The Raid, and The Raid is much better than Dread. Oh, Devs was Alex Garland. I mean, I really liked Devs for a while, and then it fucking jumped 17 sharks at the same time. He ruined that so bad, and there was such a good ending he could have done. It would have been amazing. Have I seen Moon? Yeah, I didn't like it as much as a lot of people did. Dude, the ending of Devs was so bad it retroactively ruined the whole show for me. What was Dev's ending that should have happened? I don't want to say because it's something that somebody could actually do if they ever want to do the good version of Devs. Lacking the real dangers of superintelligence? Not really. I thought it was fine. Halt and Catch Fire, I watched the first 10 minutes and thought it was awful and shut it off and never watched it again. Right now, Allison Pill is watching and crying about what I just said. Listen, I liked Allison Pill in Devs. She was good. So was Ron Swanson. Mostly. Like there was, I feel like the show was shot a little bit fast, especially toward the end. So like maybe sometimes there wasn't as much preparation and as many takes, but like the casting and the acting in that movie was mostly good. There's one character I really didn't like that kind of ruined the show as well, but I'm not going to say who it is. Have I seen Dark? I don't know. I've seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is pretty good. Like, do I need to see Dark? If I haven't seen if I've already seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I feel like I've seen it. Did I have a conversation with Ed on Twin Peaks season 3? No. Orphan Black? No. No, no, no. Tatiana, what's her name, is really good in that show, but the show itself is not good. It's just a waste of time TV show, like a lot of TV shows are. Maslany. Tatiana Maslany. She's really good. Did I see the Black Mirror series? I saw a number of episodes of Black Mirror, but probably not even half of them. Do I share Bezos' love of The Expanse? I have to say no. I mean, I met the guys who do the show in 2019, so I don't want to like diss the show, but like especially the new seasons. Like I watched the first. How much did I watch? Was when Amazon took it over, was that when most of the episodes were like in this one 50-foot by 50-foot colony on the new planet or something? Or was that before? Whichever, I stopped watching Expanse pretty far in. It was the episode where there were grindy Super Meat Boy drills under the planet. Like, it was the first episode of some season, 4 or 5. I just couldn't do it after that. I was like, holy God. But Expanse, like, I wanted to get into it, but like, the whole thing about having a super whiny main character who will not just fucking nut up and solve problems, I just can't do that. I can't do. Yeah, I just can't do it. I just don't want to listen to that dude every episode be like, I'm mopey. Is there somewhere you could look for info on the mechanics of yield? The mechanics of yield are literally return false, semicolon. It's listed as a yield macro mainly for readability, so I know what the purpose of that return false is. Favorite Ingmar Bergman film? I'm not even sure I've seen any Ingmar Bergman films. Halt and Catch Fire, they start getting into games. I mean, I thought it was mind-boggling embarrassment in the very first scene of the show. So, like, I just can't. Oh, I might have seen the beginning of Dark or something. I need Charlie Kaufman's work. I like a lot of his movies. I did not like the recent one, the Let's Get Ice Cream in the Snow movie. I didn't think that was good, but I like most of his stuff that I've seen. Do I like Ghibli? I honestly haven't seen that much of it. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Yeah, it's all right. How did I select all the audio recordings and videos in The Witness? Did I find them all on archive.org or Wikipedia? No, I read a lot of books and primary sources. Some of those directly as research for the game, but some of them are just things I had known about from previously. Like we had actors read the texts, like those weren't pre-existing recordings. Did I ever see Ordet? No. Casey is banned. Did I have to license the text? Yes. Yes, indeed. What is the longest nonstop programming session I have ever done? I don't know. Because that would have to include stuff when I was young, and I just don't remember back that far. I mean, probably something in college where I did an all-nighter. I don't really do all-nighters now, but definitely there were times in college when I would be up till, noon the next day. Did licensing the text cost more or less than I thought? I mean, it was a lot of money. I don't remember how much. It was probably... I want to say it probably cost like $60,000 or something like that. That's just a guess. I don't actually remember. Yeah, a lot of those were like some of those quotes were from things that are old enough that they're not in copyright, but many of them are in copyright. You can't just use them. Was it fun working with the voice actor? He used to be on Mad TV. Yeah, totally. He's really talented. He's done a lot of stuff, not just Mad TV. No, he was good. Like, you got to understand, though, it's not like we hung out with those actors for a long time. It only takes a couple days to read the amount of stuff that's in the game. Like a couple, 2 or 3 hour sessions for whatever. So, we just had a good time hanging out doing the recordings. I mean, he was Marvin in Pulp Fiction, okay? I can at least retire knowing that I had Marvin in my video game. All right? That's how you know you've made it, is when you have Marvin in your video game. Will there ever be a Witness 2? Probably not that I ever make. Do I think eventually all ideas should be totally free use? Not really. No. What does that even mean? Why not? Well, like, who's maintaining, like, if the witness is free for everybody in the future, who's maintaining it and making sure it still works? The open source people. Yeah, exactly. You think he meant like IP law? Oh. Um, no, I think copyright is probably good. It just should be a lot shorter than it currently is. Like, the concept of copyright, I think, is a positive. It's just, it's been massively abused. Author death plus 0 years. I mean, maybe. I don't know. That kind of gives you incentive to kill someone if you want to use their shit. So maybe that's not good. But just like, you know, 25 years is fine, right? 20 years, 17 years, any of those I'm cool with. Wow. No, people would do that, dude. Like, be careful what you incentivize. What about the case of games that are no longer maintained due to IP holders not caring, but legalities preventing players from reviving it? If there was some kind of abandoned IP provision, that would be cool, right? Do I think archival of unmaintained software is... I don't even understand that question. Why do people ask me weird questions? Archival of unmaintained software. I mean, we have too much software right now. Period. There's just too much. It's way more than we need for the amount of stuff we actually want to do. We need to reduce the amount of software. Is there maybe some small amount of utility to having all the shit that we throw away around after we throw it away and fix things? Maybe. Do I care that much? Probably not. Do I remember a show from the 90s called Ghost Rider? No, that was probably after my time. Do I think there is a useful system for NFTs? I mean, you have to explain what the NFT is actually for. Like, what is the purpose of the NFT? The questions are getting pretty random. It's true. Questions are getting random. Preventing scalpers from selling a digital ticket. I mean, the current gas fees are even higher than Ticketmaster surcharges, so you got to get those down. But maybe the Ethereum proof of stake thing would do that. Or maybe these like third-party chains would do that. I don't know. Why would NFTs prevent scalpers from selling a digital ticket? That's not true. Like, look, if you want to prevent a ticket from being resold, at the point of sale, you record who bought it, and then you check ID when they try to get into the place, which is exactly the thing you would have to do. If you have it recorded on a blockchain, you still have to check ID when they try to get into the place to make sure it's what's on the blockchain. Like, why does that matter whether that's on a blockchain or in your own database? It's actually better to have it in your own database. Is there a way to make a sub-only VOD available for everyone? I don't care. I'm not that interested in that. Like, so I'm just a little bit fed up with the way people treat the material that I put online. So it's a way of, I don't know, acting differently with regard to that. Any interest in collaborating with Zachtronics? I mean, we do different kinds of things. We're both really busy, I'm sure. I like a lot of Zach's games, but like, he doesn't need me to make a programming game. Obviously, he can do a good job at that. I don't have to deal with people watching VODs, but that's not the issue. Like, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to say that's not the issue. Did I play Eliza? No, I'm not really into digital novels, so it's just a genre I don't care about at all. I'd rather read actual novels. Please release something tonight. Unlikely. Is there someone re-uploading the content? No, but I would characterize it as there's a distinct lack of respect that's been happening, which like, look, I mean, like what I do, don't like what I do, think it's interesting, don't think it's interesting. That's fine. But like, if someone's going out of their way to like show you their source code and how they program and, you know, just what they're doing in advance of it coming out by years, like that's worth something, right? And it's like, I just don't, I effectively get treated like shit by Twitch chat, and I'm just a little tired of it. And not by most people, right? Like most people on the chat are chill and totally cool about it. But like the overall dynamic is bad and makes me feel bad. So the right move is to alter the dynamic in some way, right? And, you know, no, it's not even haters. Like, haters is part of it, but they're not even that large of a proportion of it. But it's just like people who don't care about what's happening, or people who wander into the channel and get upset that I don't stop for 5 minutes and tell them what we're doing and the history of it and how everything works, and that I don't do that every 5 minutes for new people who show, like stuff like that. It's like, look, you can't actually, like with the basic dynamic of current Twitch chat, you can't really do deep stuff with it, or it's very hard, right? And so it's just, I have this desire at some point to not do cheap, easy, shallow stuff. And maybe I've done as much as I can on Twitch, right? Maybe it's just time for me to be done with it. I don't know. But like, I just want a higher quality scenario is all, right? Like, and some of it might be easy. Like maybe it would be fine. You know, like what if we could just have a stream and just subs had their own chat channel? Like I swear Twitch even used to do that and they don't do it now or something, right? Like that might even be better. I don't know. And I would just ignore the non-sub chat. But yeah, so we'll see. Like it's just something I'm thinking about, right? Like I've been, like I do think there is good value to the programming streams. But I've also done a lot of those, and a bunch of them are on YouTube. Like if someone wants to see how I program, they can just go there. The information exists. So maybe it's not, you know, maybe in 5 years, I just do some more streams to show how I program them and how it's changed. I don't know. What can chat do to better themselves? It's not like that. Like, okay, look, every human being on earth could be a better person, right? So obviously everybody can be a better person, but that's not the real issue exactly. I mean, maybe there are societal level issues, but it's also just like, look, what does the format of Twitch encourage, right? Well, people are on Twitch. Maybe this channel shows up on the sidebar and they click on it and they don't know what's going on, and You drop in and drop out. It's not like, what's the opposite of that? Like a university class that's Tuesday and Thursday from like 1 to 2:30 p.m. and you're expected to be there at most of them, right? Twitch isn't like that, right? And so those different formats lend themselves naturally to different kinds of interaction. And the kind of interaction that Twitch encourages is relatively shallow, right? So, and low quality and distracted and short attention span and all that, which is because it's for video game streaming and, like it's fine. So, maybe we have to start a different thing. The thing is, I don't actually want to have a specific schedule when I stream. I mean, unless something else, like if it was an actual class, then I would think about that. Like if I was running a Kung Fu programming school and it was like, look, you have to be there enough to pass a test eventually or you get kicked out because it's a waste of my time to teach you otherwise, that would be cool. But that's not what I'm doing right now. I don't have time to prep that kind of a thing. I'm doing all this other stuff. But that's one idea of a way to change it. And that would have a much, much smaller audience than the current streams, right? Are the masterclass things ever interactive? I don't actually know. I have not ever done a masterclass. I've been meaning to do it just to see what they're like. Codeless aesthetics. It's like there's a week-long seminar on quantum mechanics. It's hour 5 of day 3 and a homeless person wanders in and starts asking questions during the Q&A. Yes, that is exactly what it's like, except that it's 100 such people and they get mad if you don't like their question. What do I enjoy about streaming? I mean, my mood about streaming varies a lot. Some days I really enjoy it. Some days I don't. But like there's a fundamental paradox to the programming part. And this is a little bit why I did the crank sessions, but I haven't done those very often because I like to do them for well-defined, isolated tasks that I know I can do a good job of or have a good possibility of in the amount of time. And those maybe don't come up that often. But like, look, the best programming streams are the ones when I'm very focused and have a very high quality of thought and attention and work through some difficult problems and make a lot of things productively happen, right? That's a good stream. Reading Twitch chat does not help any of those things, right? It makes the stream worse. But if you don't read Twitch chat at all, then you're not interacting with chat, and that also makes the stream worse, right? So there's something about the medium of the chat happening in the middle of the thing that is just not conducive to good programming streams, right? Does ignoring the noise, you can't ignore noise. People who say just ignore it don't know how the brain works. You can't really do that. It's not how the brain works. I mean, not without years and years of training. And still it's hard. Because you have to read and understand the noise to know it's noise. And you've now spent that mental energy that you won't get back. Yeah, so I'm just thinking through this, right? I'm like, okay, what would it take? Like, if I want higher quality programming streams, how do we do that, right? And I'm just thinking about it and trying to figure it out. Sub-only mode was a little bit of a way to give a little bit of a thing back to subs. It's like, hey, if you sub, here's a stream just for you, right? I think that's fine. But B, it's just an experiment because look, it's definitely less noisy because there's fewer people there. And maybe it's a higher quality of chat. I think the average quality of chat on that stream was better. But there also wasn't that much of it necessarily. So who knows? You cache evict what you were thinking about on garbage. Yeah, I mean, even when the impact is not that serious, it's still like I was saying, the greater the degree of focus, like, you know, sometimes people who have been watching the stream for a while have probably seen both of these extremes, where sometimes I see a weird behavior in a program and like, I know exactly what's causing it and where and what to go into the program and do to fix the thing. And I just do it and it works, right? On the other hand, sometimes I see a weird behavior in a program and I don't have any idea what's going on. And I flail around and debug for 2 hours and eventually messily fix it, right? Obviously, you want to be much more on the clean, quick version of that. But that just, your state of mind has a very large impact on which of those outcomes occurs, right? And so if I want the best programming streams, clarity of mind is very important. So both intellectually, like what's the information coming in? Is it trash or is it valid, right? But also emotionally, like if I feel like the people in chat are like right there with me and we're interested in what's happening, that's all cool. Or even like, hey, there's someone there who's not really paying that much attention, but it's just kind of like a way of co-working. Like, hey, there's somebody else working and I'm working and we're both getting stuff done. That's cool too, right? But when it's like, I don't know, when it's like people popping into chat who might as well have just been on XQC's channel or whatever, like it emotionally, it doesn't, like if people are just kind of abrasive and like obviously don't care and whatever, it's like that harshes the mellow. It makes me feel less good about what I'm doing and that makes the stream worse, right? And so that's one good thing about sub only is it's like at least it's people who like the stream enough to sub, right? So, you know, so we'll probably do sub onlys once in a while. I don't know how often. You know, it won't be the majority of streams, I don't think, but we'll just do them once in a while. And maybe I'll just try to make them, like the last sub only stream was pretty random. It's just like I woke up and was like, hey, let's do this. You know, maybe there'll be like more special occasions. Maybe crank sessions would be sub only. I don't know. Has streaming helped me feel less isolated? I mean, maybe in a very surface way, but not really. What about Pomodoro system? Anything like Pomodoro is for people with short attention spans, generally speaking. So I don't think it's conducive to anything. I mean, if people say it works for them, then great, but I don't find it to be good. There should be VIP chat. Yeah, I mean, I swear Twitch used to have VIP chat and they got rid of it or something. If there's still a way to do that, let me know. What is my expectation of chat helping me program? Very low. Although, again, that is something that happens. Like some streams, people catch bugs really fast or whatever. Most streams, that doesn't happen. Day 9 has sub-only chat. Oh, I know you can do sub-only chat. The question is, can you have a sub-only channel and a public channel at the same time? Because, like, if you could, like, just let everybody be in the channel, but only people who subbed get the high-quality chat or whatever, then that's cool. I would like to do that. I would probably turn that on by default if that was possible. I don't think there's any kind of channel control. Let's see. I mean, would this be in stream or channel? Brand, schedule, featured content. Like, none of these seem... Yeah, I don't want to highlight sub messages, though. I want a completely separate chat. Like, mental clarity is the point. Yeah, they had rooms. It bums me out that they got rid of them then. Because that's what I would want. Is like, here's the public room. Here's the sub room. The executive lounge suite for subs. And then subs could pick which one they want to be reading at any given time. That would be great. Why do I care if there's a pleb chat if I plan on ignoring it? Because then people who show up at the channel can talk to each other and whatever. Like, that's just a different experience for people than if they can't. Bounties. Was there a bounties section? Bounty board. I have no completed bounties. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. I can get paid $200 for playing this game. Stream Marvel Future Revolution for 40 minutes for $195. That's like way above minimum wage. I could like start the bounty and then just like leave it open on the main menu for 40 minutes. Should I use the bounties as just a way to play AAA games and see what they are? Because I haven't played either of these games. At any point during a stream session, stream Ghost of Tsushima for 1 hour straight with an average of 485 concurrent viewers. Oh, they didn't say that part. Okay. So it's 0 at 206 viewers and 212 at 485. Read point 3. Marvel. Same number of viewers, 206 to 485. No needless bad-mouthing of the content. You know, I might do this sometime just because it's funny. It's like funny to me to do a sponsored stream. Now the question is, like, how do they know when I did it? I guess it auto detects if I stream on the channel for the game. All right, we'll try that sometime. And you know what? Ghost of Tsushima is paying more than Marvel, so that's what we have to do. Do I even have a PlayStation here? Or are they in at the office? Oh, I do. I got a PS4 here. They had to disable bounties for XQC, but it says max payout. Oh, are these offers based on like the average size of the channel for the past month or something? That's why it's like 206 or whatever, because it's based on... Is this like our average number of viewers for the past month? Wow, dude. See, the sub-only stream was good for the revenue. How do I know? Average viewers is 282. Oh, wait, that's the last stream. I don't know what's the average for the channel. Anyway, we're learning about twitch.tv. I've been getting emails about Raid Shadow Legends. But that's just too slimy. I can't even do that one. Could you do sub-only chat through Discord? I mean, maybe, but that's just not ergonomically the same. When am I going to fight Jake Paul? Probably never. Probably never. Yeah, probably. I mean, I can't predict the future. I can't say definitely never. What YouTuber would call me out to fight? William Shatner. I'd fight William Shatner. It's a line from Fight Club, guys. Fight Club. His name was Robert Paulson. Have they announced a release date for Firmament? Or is it just vaguely in the future? They delayed it 2 years. 2 years from now, so like 2023. Would I change anything about The Witness? Yeah, probably. Do I have any surprises in this PlayStation Showcase Thursday? I did not know there was a PlayStation Showcase Thursday, so that probably gives you your answer. I did not know there was a PlayStation Showcase Thursday. Do we have a merch store? No. I was thinking about some kind of like paid beta membership for the compiler. So if you're interested in programming in a new programming language, that may become an opportunity at some point. Will I ever write a book? Probably. Maybe. I mean, I started a compiler book. It's just not done. So the question is, does that get finished? And the answer is, hopefully, maybe. We did it here on the stream. We started it. Have I read any of the Mist novels? No. How would I describe my writing style? I don't know. I haven't really written stuff in a long time. If I did now, it would be different than the old stuff that I wrote. Do I use any tooling to do? No, you just use the search program. How do we handle bug tracking? I don't bug track until the end of development. And then we use a bug tracking system. But we don't, like in the middle of development, we just don't really do that. Will I ever open a restaurant? Probably not. A tea shop? Probably not. Do I think the odds of USA collapse is greater than 50%? The odds of USA collapse are greater than 99%. The question is just what time frame you're talking about. Like, if humanity survives 1,000,000 years into the future, there isn't going to be a United States of America. All right? That's just not a thing. It's actually 100%. No, I don't think it's actually 100%. There is some very, very, very small probability that the United States of America persists forever in some form. It's very unlikely. Very unlikely. How many different projects am I working on right now? Like having done work on in the past month? 3. You can do a combination of light mapping plus dynamic global illumination. There are ways to do that, for sure. Like the thing to understand about light is additive. It's just the physics of light is that it's waves, and waves add to each other. So when you do lights for a scene, you just add them together, right? So you could do some lights one way and add them to other lights done another way, for example. Thankfully, because video games are already hard enough. Like if we couldn't do that, then they would be even harder. Do I ever wonder if the world is spinning in the wrong direction sometimes? No. Okay, I think it's bedtime. Although I'm getting interested in the idea of doing this Ghost of Tsushima stream. We might actually do it at some point. Not tonight. Not tonight. All right. Thanks, everybody. We're not going to raid. We're just going to go gently into that good night. See you later on.